All right, it's 6 p.m. and we're gonna prep for some Dungeons and Dragons.
All right.
And
It's
apparently
6 p.m. and
hear
we're gonna
ourselves
prep for some
in an
Dungeons
echo
and
chamber.
Dragons.
There we go. All right, so I don't know. I got to run a game tonight. I'm gonna play in a game tonight. So whatever prep we're doing tonight could be for whatever we want. Doing good on Skull and Shackles, which frees up our Wednesday night to work on other projects. The other project we're going to be working on tonight is Paradise Vale. So, Paradise Vale was meant to be an experiment, like the first Paradise Vale was, to try out the Giphy Glyph system in a West Marches setting, because it seemed like it would be a great, great pairing, West Marches plus Giphy Glyph. I still hold that is true. But I am also running into questions from players about what kind of contributions they can make to the world. Now, in season 1, I had a lot more time to sink into this, and I had 2 other guys that were kind of helping out with the plotting and the planning and the tracking of resources and things like that. And we also had players that were extremely active in tracking that kind of stuff. We had a resource system. It was not great, looking back. Mostly everything just worked in Season 1 because we all agreed that it should work. Which is not a strong system, honestly. I mean, that's like socialism, right? Like, it should work great until somebody's an asshole. So yeah. I tried to take the same setting, the same building settings from the first season and just bring them over to this season, and it really just doesn't work. Partly because of how controlled the economy is with the Darker Dungeon and the Class Compendium rules. Plus, we have a much more developed and detailed crafting system this time around than we ever had last time. Crafting was definitely the one area in Season 1 Paradise Vale that was lacking. So we have crafting, in my opinion. We got crafting in a good spot. Like, crafting is hard, but it's not abstract. Like, it's very obvious, like, you need to get these things to make these things, you roll these dice to get the results. Crafting is good. I'm very happy with crafting. I spent most of 5e trying to settle on a set of rules for crafting that I liked. Crafting's good. But then there's the kingdom building itself. So, what we discussed on Saturday, it was Saturday or Sunday, it might have been Sunday. What we discussed on Sunday, after playing a shitload of Paradise Vale, with different people DMing, different people playing, was people are going to start, Sunday, yeah, people are going to start getting gold and not knowing what to do with it. So we need to really define the house system, the guild system, and also the development of the settlement. So we kind of got to talking and we're like, what should we do? And one of the things that inspired the first season was these old ass D20 Pathfinder kingdom building rules. And I can't remember if these were from Kingmaker or not, but they were, in Pathfinder fashion, extremely detailed. Extremely detailed. I'm not saying that you would need a fresh college education to understand how this system works, but it's very complicated. It is literally its own game system, bootstrapped onto Pathfinder. So, trying to convert this to 5e, trying to convert this to 5e homebrew, it's a lot. It's a lot. So, I did a little bit more poking around, and I discovered, and I'll post this into chat actually, if you're interested, in a super duper complicated thing. Now, we could always farm this. We could always farm this for more building ideas and things like that, because, man, has it got just about everything you could imagine from NPC jobs to government edicts to the benefits of paved streets. It's all in here. Orphanage, the whole deal. So, long-term project, sure. Converting Kingdom Builder over to, 5e and then over to Paradise Vale, that'd be fantastic. But for now, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be using this Player Kingdom Management by Agran, I want to say, is the name of the guy that published this. And it is basically 10 pages long and does an absolutely fantastic job of taking all of this shit, and boiling it down into 10 pages that are ready for 5th edition. So let me share that with anybody who is interested in such things or wants to follow along as well. So that's what this guy is over here on the right-hand side. Kingdom Management Module. So, I have the Foundry game open in the background in case we need to jump in and check on things and all that jazz. We're not going to be probably needing it, but, there it is. And, yeah, so I guess as needed, we could check on any lore or NPCs or anything that would only be stored here that might not be in any of our notes documents. And then I have the GM document that describes how hexes work. So this is basically the under the hood of how hexes work. Now, a certain German Orange likes to point out inconsistencies in the world because he knows that it causes me to have an aneurysm, even across the Atlantic Ocean. So he did ask, why is the world sectioned off into grids when we have to crawl hexes? And those of you who have watched prep for this this setting, you know that there is both a grid and a hex, but I did not overlay the hex onto the player map because I wanted to keep the player map relatively abstract. But you see here where it says the settlement is located right at the edge of 13D. This corresponds with just a massive hex map, and then the hexes themselves are portioned out into number by letter grids. Again, this is the top left portion of the world map. The world is huge. The world is absolutely tremendous. So, yeah, the DMs all receive a copy of the actual map that has everything detailed and all that jazz. Now, this map was made in Incarnate, so it will be very easy to go in and edit this map as the different hexes are explored and settled and turned into buildings and towns and all that kind of stuff. So how do we do all that? All right, so we've got hexes, and generally the hexes are about 20 miles across. That yields a square mileage of 344 miles ish. I know the math isn't perfect on that. I barely got an education. Please have mercy on me. And in Paradise Vale Season 1, we actually tracked, you have to feed the population, what things created food, how much food do you have, you want to build a building, we had to figure out exactly how many wood and how many iron a building took to build. It was like trying to design a fucking mobile phone game or something. It was a lot of work, and it was a lot of shit to keep track of. And then here, wood, it takes 10 mature trees to frame a 1,000 square foot home and structure. This is the kind of shit in school, when they would give you word problems, you would be like, when am I ever going to need to know this in real life? Seriously, when am I ever going to need to know this shit? And when I was looking up this information, I was like, I played myself. I am in a math problem right now. Why do I want to know how many mature trees it takes to make a house? This is so stupid. And here's the thing. If you're only running one game, you can go all in. You know what I'm saying? You can go so detailed. You could keep track of every leaf on every fucking tree for all I care. But if you're running more than one game and you work a job and you have a life, man, you don't got time for that shit. So when we were reading over these kingdom management rules, I was immediately excited because there are only 4 resources. A period. Here they are: prosperity, economy, military, and influence. That's it. That's the game. That's it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to add a section here called Kingdom Builder. There we go. And we'll start taking some notes here. All right, we'll zoom in a little bit. There we go. Okay. And we're just going to take it page by page. The other DMs and I already read over it, but I want to like reiterate it and make sure we're not missing anything. So, prosperity of a kingdom directly affects its denizens. It's a measurement of the kingdom's happiness, its total population, and how your neighbors and other kingdoms see your city. If you're starting in an abandoned town, the kingdom's prosperity starts at 0. Inversely, if you're starting with a well-established kingdom, the prosperity would be around 20. It is up to the DM's discretion to determine the beginning prosperity if it is a pre-established. For help, use the chart to the right. The party has multiple ways of earning prosperity for their kingdom, specific buildings that impact the locals, forging trade deals, and making strong pacts and alliances are just a few ways of earning prosperity for your kingdom. Unlike attributes and proficiencies, it is possible to lose prosperity if the rulers or elected council fail to please the general public, if an event goes poorly, or if the kingdom wages unnecessary war. Loss of prosperity is up to the discretion of the DM. And then they have this stuff over here, prosperity dice, and all that good stuff, and the different kingdom sizes. And we already determined what this stuff would be. Yeah, so we're good with it. Down here, military. Your military is a combination of your offensive and defensive capabilities, how you battle on enemy territories, or how your town defends against a horde of hobgoblins coming to raid your farms. 2 of your players' council members are set to specific roles when it comes to military. Your general focuses on offense, scouting lands, setting perimeters, and training your troops. Your warden focuses on guards, setting defensive tactics, and recruiting to protect the town. We go into more depth in the politics section. Military is calculated based on structures you've created, and they will tax your economy. Talk about some real-world shit right there. To maintain stable troop wages and supplies. Military is your primary effectiveness while the players are away on adventures. Economy. Income is an important metric that is used to determine the value of your kingdom. It allows the players to choose what to build, how many troops they can recruit or train, and what supplies they can purchase. To keep things simple, for every 1,000 gold pieces that goes through the city, this equates to 1 economic point, or EP. The amount of EP earned is based on the current economic value the kingdom has based off of buildings, trading, and pacts or agreements the kingdom has made with other towns. This is huge because there are other intelligent creatures in the area, and now that we've incentivized befriending them, right, maybe they will be less likely to wipe out everyone that they meet. Alright. At the beginning of every month, add your EP modifier to your total amount of EP stored. This allows the party to purchase buildings. Alright, so this is an important note right here. This allows the party to purchase buildings. So what we're going to do is players will be able to influence the council, which we'll talk about in a second. To sway their votes for new structures. They won't actually be able to choose, they'll be able to sway the votes. People that play more will have more influence over these votes. So it will award attendance, obviously, and also it will award working for specific council members, putting NPCs that you like in council positions, etc., etc., etc. Or even better, putting retired characters into council positions. Alright, every settlement starts with an EP equal to their starting prosperity level. Reference the starting prosperity in the previous section. EP is generated at the beginning of every new month based on many factors. EP can increase or decrease in value based on recent events, taxes, and many other things previously mentioned. Adding buildings, shops, farms, and artisans is crucial to a kingdom's economy. Without a flow of income, the prosperity and population of the kingdom will dwindle. Alright. Special merchants. A dwarven master blacksmith, racist, can create finer quality goods that are more valuable than a standard smith. Players should be encouraged to find better alternatives to improving the quality of their kingdom's goods. Alright. A big role in the economy is taxation. Collecting taxes is a great way to improve structures and construction, but if the taxes are too high, you'll run the risk of losing prosperity and may incite riots and other events leading to the loss of population and prosperity. This happened in Season 1. It got to the point where adventurers just started giving money to the town's treasuries to keep taxes low, to keep people happy, which also made the adventurers very, very popular. It would be like in the real world, Elon Musk and these other rich people just giving other Americans money. That's kind of what was going on in Paradiseville Season 1. Like, the adventurers eventually were so rich that they just started, like, taking care of everybody. Which is not really bad. I mean, I don't know. It worked out. Influence. Lastly, influence is your ability to shape and change the land, as well as sway nobles, create trade agreements, and many other things up to the player's imagination and the DM's discretion. What a great pairing. The player's imagination and the DM's discretion. It really sums up D&D pretty well. To calculate influence, add your prosperity, economy, and military, divide the total by 3, and round it up, so it's the average. Influence is your primary stat in terms of determining your kingdom's overall success when it tries to do shit. It's also the most heavily affected by small changes, events, and the changing world. Allies and enemies. Making allies and protecting or destroying your neighbors is a great way to change your kingdom's influence. Important people the players interact with and know they do so can play a big role in future kingdom events. For example, if the players kill a well-established merchant who is in a guild, that guild could take hostile action against the town or limit the trade that flows through the town entirely, severely impacting the economy of the kingdom, in turn affecting the influence. A great example of this would be the settlement finds a river. The river is very, very rich in fish and clean water. They anger the Grung, who live upstream. The Grung build a massive dam. Now the settlement has lost the river because it is now a trickling stream instead of a successful river because the Grung have effectively stolen the river. Now they have to go and meet with the Grung and either destroy the dam or negotiate with the Grung to release the river again and share it with everybody. So yeah, this is cool shit that could happen. And I should probably write that down because that's pretty dope. Let's see. Stats change month to month. The 4 primary stats will change frequently. I recommend using the spreadsheet in the back of the module for keeping track of the ins and outs of this kingdom. We've already done that. We have our character sheet for the town already set up and ready to go. The DM may choose to roll for a random event that provides different bonuses. We have decided to do that. And these benefits last until the month is completed. It's not always benefits. Sometimes it's penalties. If you receive an economic boost due to a random event, add EP to your stored amount at the beginning of that month. Alright, so pretty cool so far. Then you got the council. And I thought this was very, very interesting. Because it creates a situation where the PCs want to treat the NPCs well. And they want to be on good terms with the NPCs, especially since we are modifying it that players cannot directly make decisions on how EPs are spent. They can try to influence council members. If you have played the Disgaea games, they have a whole system where you have to vote for improvements to be made to the game. And there is a Dark Council, and you go to the Dark Council and you say, I'd really like better loot to drop. And the Dark Council's like, I don't know. And then you can go around and bribe or threaten, like, all of the council members. And then when they vote, that can sway their vote one way or the other. So I really like that. And we'll probably straight up RNGesus this shit, just like a Disgaea situation. So we'll look and say, oh, this NPC is definitely going to lean towards this. So we're going to make sure that they have like a +10 modifier when we roll to see if they agree to this shit. But then the players are like, no, 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 no. Well, you should vote for this building instead. Here's 1,000 gold. And then they're like, oh, actually, yeah. Or they remind them like, hey, remember we saved your daughter when she was kidnapped by like the Chucklehounds? Don't you think that like that counts for something? All we're asking in return is that you vote for this project. That's all. And so in that way, the council, this little bit right here, suddenly makes this very, very real. As somebody that works for local government, this is very, very real. This is very, very real. All right. Political interaction can be a touchy subject when it comes to the ruling and governing of a kingdom. There are a lot of roles that can be filled by a council to allow your adventurers to continue exploring the world and know their kingdom is in good hands while they're away. To ensure everything is being handled accordingly, the players may choose to accept specific roles that suit their talents or may appoint members of the community to the council. In this instance, the council is already populated by NPCs, many of whom were retired characters from the playtest. So that's kind of cool. If you want to retire a character to one of these roles, you certainly can. If you decide to start your own town in Paradise Vale, then you, of course, can take on one or more of these roles or assign these roles to the NPCs of your choice because it's your town. And that's where it gets really exciting. It's a big map, right? We've got a big map here. This doesn't have to be the only town. Players can totally try to build their own town and support their own town outside of the settlement. Same thing happened in the first season. We ended up with 4 or 5 towns by the time season 1 was over. So I hope to see that same kind of stuff here. And with this system in place, I think it's going to be even easier to do. And actually more fun as well. All right. To ensure everything is being handled accordingly, the players choose to accept the roles, blah, blah, blah. There are 6 primary roles that should be filled to have a successful kingdom, each granting specific advantages, and will apply their specific modifier bonus when completing tasks or during random kingdom events. Players may also substitute themselves for these roles, or they may select specific NPCs, which we just discussed. The Steward. The Steward plays the role of overseeing the entire council and the treasury. They inform the players of news, recent events, and offer suggestions to improve the kingdom. So this is a big deal, the Steward. The Steward applies an intelligence modifier as a bonus to random events that are in their area of expertise. It's recommended the players choose an NPC they know or are familiar with to run the kingdom's capital and investments, and also that person should be smart. They don't go out there and say it, but there it is. The Diplomat is a key member of the council who writes messages and meets with other diplomats from different kingdoms and villages. They're excellent at speechcraft and persuasion, applying their charisma modifier as a bonus to random events, creating treaties, and making trade agreements. Architect is your go-to when it comes to construction, making repairs, or doing renovations. The architect speeds up the process of construction and may lower the EP costs of buildings. They apply their wisdom modifier as a bonus to construction time and EP cost. Sounds pretty good. The general commands your armies, recruits and trains troops, and gives valuable field information on your land outside the city walls. The general will recruit and train specific troops that are best fit for the region or what the players choose or suggest. They apply their strength modifier as a bonus to scouting the land and offensive attacks on monster strongholds or enemy factions. Because again, at a certain point, this will grow beyond like the players, right? This will become a world that needs to be able to take care of itself to a certain extent, like a normal D&D campaign. So this kind of stuff is important for the people running the setting behind the scenes, because then we have stats to roll with when situations come up that players either decide not to address or they don't address in a timely enough manner, etc., etc. The warden's role is similar to the general, but on the defensive. They oversee the guard and keep the peace inside the city walls. The warden will be the standing force against random enemy attacks. They apply their constitution modifier as a bonus to quelling rebellions, stopping enemy attacks, and holding prisoners. And finally, the spy master. You'll notice that there are 6 positions and 6 ability scores. This is a very Dungeons and Dragons design decision, and I like it. I like it a lot. Obviously, all of these positions would benefit from somebody with high wisdom, high intelligence, and high charisma, but they still go and make up 3 that would benefit from physical stats just to keep it Dungeons & Dragons friendly. And I kind of like that. The Spy Master's primary goal is information. They collect dirt on your enemies, allies, and everything in between. The Spy Master keeps their ears to the ground for the latest info. They apply their Dex modifier, as a bonus when collecting information, from the latest news in other kingdoms to rumors of artifacts. Alright, so we're going to make each guy their own little custom character sheet, I guess, within the world. Not on stream right now, but that's the goal. We have already selected who the council members are, which is cool. Ideally, all council members should have a personality trait, ideal, bond, and flaw to make them more human and interesting, and to create interesting stories down the line. Special council members. There are special council members that are unlocked by purchasing certain buildings for the kingdom, or achievements, I guess. So the headmaster is the master of the arcane, specializes in magic, education, teleportation, and curses. The guild leader oversees a specific guild that has set up shop in the kingdom. And the high priest is a position for a chosen deity or pantheon in the kingdom. So far, so good. Alright. Using stats and the council. The council not only helps the players in suggesting courses of action and events, they also can be used in certain events or scenarios where they might be of best use. For example, in the case of war, it might be best to send the Spy Master out to collect information and scout the enemy, allowing her to use her dexterity modifier in addition to the kingdom's military bonus. This same situation could be used in a diplomatic meeting the diplomat is sent on. He would apply his charisma modifier in addition to the kingdom's influence to determine the outcome. Below, I've set up some tables in where a counselor might be useful, as well as the DCs required for some tasks. Of course, this is up to the DM's discretion as to whether or not to allow a successful outcome. I've purposely left out the architect, as his primary role is to just oversee construction. The architect can apply his modifier when it comes to structural integrity or creating new types of buildings. I mean, stretching your imagination a little bit, you could use the Spy Master to sneak the architect up to an enemy's city and get a better assessment of their defenses that way. So putting baby in the corner there on the architect, not very nice. Feel like it's a little demeaning to architects, but whatever. The steward will add his or her intelligence modifier plus the kingdom's prosperity modifier when confronted with certain situations. Settling a minor dispute, passing the sentence on a criminal, collecting taxes, settling a major dispute, quelling a riot. All that makes sense to me. These are all things that happened, literally all things that happened in Season 1 of Paradise Vale. The diplomats, procuring special goods, receiving a discount at special vendors, creating a minor trade agreement, blah blah blah. Again, all things that happened in Season 1, but here they are all quantified and have a nice little system to support them. And I say little system in the most admiring way, because simple is best, honest to God, it really is. These two play similar roles, the general and the warden. They're on different sides of the same coin. So hunting, defending, dealing with small raids, dealing with minor bandits, fortifying, and conquering. Notice conquering is very hard to do. 22. So you get to add your military might and your warden's strength? No, your general strength. And that's it. So, yeah. And that's the lowest DC they're saying for conquering. So imagine if they're trying to go against something that hasn't been worn down by the players or hasn't been scouted or anything like that. That's going to be real rough. And finally, the Spy Master, dexterity plus military to scout, collect rumors, steal something, implant rumors, and assassinate. So overall, pretty dope. Pretty dope system. Now we get into the fun stuff of building. Buildings and architecture, basic structures. Taverns and inns are interchangeable. They cost 4,000 gold, or 4 EP, to build. We don't care how much wood, or stone, or iron it fucking takes. We don't care about that shit anymore. We don't care. And that's okay. And that's totally okay. To keep it abstract. What does it do for you? It provides an economy bonus and a prosperity bonus, and it doesn't seem to cause any problems. A place for travelers to tell stories, meet new people, and have a place to rest their head at night. Only one inn is allowed to be constructed for every 10 prosperity, and you only get a max of 3. Well, I think the city of Waterdeep would like to talk to you about that. But logistically and historically, most of the towns in D&D that have an inn or a tavern should not have an inn or a tavern. Like, they just shouldn't. But adventurers are so rich that having an inn or a tavern is always a good idea. But only if your inn or tavern is smart and they charge a shitload of money for their goods and services. If you're doing this Matt Mercer thing where you're only charging your party like 1.5 silver pieces to stay the night and eat a 5-course meal, there's no way that your inn or tavern is ever going to stay in business. But if your inn or tavern is like, yo dog, you could stay here, it's 10 gold a night, and your rich ass adventurers are like, okay, that makes sense. D&D economy it's in shambles. It's a mess. So yeah, just constantly scalp your adventurers all the time. They have nothing to spend their money on, and they like feeling rich. All right, standard store provides +1 in the economy. Fantastic. I would probably put the rule that only new types of stores are going to help the economy. If everybody's opening a general store, not going to help the economy too much. They're going to be competing with each other for the same customers, and it's not going to be helping the economy at all. So until, like, I don't know, until all the basics are covered, having a duplicate store, it just doesn't make much sense. So barracks, 3 EP, military goes up, economy goes down. Gives your soldiers, scouts, and guards a place to rest and train, but you only get 1. So it's very hard to get that military might up if you can only have 1 barracks. Residential housing costs 2 EP. This is what players are going to want to know about. Places to live for the residents of your kingdom. Notice it says places to live. So I'm picturing this like a SimCity situation where you like drag your cursor and you're like, bam, built a bunch of houses right there. Like, that's what residential housing means to me. I don't think that a single house necessarily is being covered here, but maybe a whole row of houses, that sort of thing. Can be upgraded into a mansion for 6 EP, and that provides an additional +1 prosperity. Because I guess rich people have servants, and that helps the economy. I don't know. Seems like a capitalist lie that's been implanted here, but whatever. Let's see. Farmland. Provides +1 in the economy. Costs 4,000 gold or 4 EP to build one. No limit to how many you can have. The downside is they do take up a lot of space and are the first thing to be targeted by bandits and opposing armies. Yeah. We should lock copy stores behind prosperity levels. Absolutely. Because it honestly wouldn't make any sense for the prosperity to increase if every store is a blacksmith, you know? Marketplace. 6 EP to build, provides +1 to economy, +2 if you also have farmland. Ooh, getting slightly complicated here. A market for farmers and traders to show their goods, both homegrown in your city and traveling merchants. Only 1 per city. You can get a jail. It adds to prosperity, which is fantastic, but also drains economy. Makes sense. Patrolling guards and feeding the prisoners does hurt your economy, and technically you only need 1 because this ain't Texas. Alright. Church. 3 EPs. Provides +1 to prosperity. Churches are a place of healing and worship, generally dedicated to a specific god, but sometimes a standard pantheon. In our case, I would say a standard pantheon would go first, and once the prosperity level reached a certain amount, we would allow churches to branch out into other things. Maybe? Unless players really pushed for one particular one. Obviously, if the Valorians had to choose, they would choose Arathis. Goddess of Civilization would be the #1 pick. Who knows? Unlocks the ability to upgrade into a cathedral, which is a specialty location. Monuments provides +1 to prosperity, and there's apparently no limit and no restrictions on them. You just build a shitload of monuments to get your prosperity up. I've never really gotten excited about monuments and statues, but they work. They apparently work. People really like them. I live very close to Washington, D.C. People travel from all over the world to look at our monuments. Beats me. Training yard. Costs 3 EPs, provides +1 to your military. This doesn't cost anything extra either, and this doesn't have any limitations. So this it doesn't hurt you at all. So you could really dump a lot of shit into this if you want to get your military strength up really, really high. Garrison costs 4 EP, provides +1 to military and a -1 to economy. A station for your troops on the walls to watch over your kingdom's lands. And no limit on garrison either. Yeah, we may want to set influence limits on monuments, or simply, I mean, if you spend your money on monument, you're not helping your economy or your military. And history has shown, and if you played them civilization games, if you put all your eggs into the be rich basket, do you know what happens to you? People come and kill you. Yup. Yup. If you become the fattest goose, all the foxes come to eat you. So you have to make sure you're balancing this shit out. Yup. Yep. I think anything that grants a bonus with no cost should have a limit. I think it should have a gated limit for sure. If this was a video game, right, you would only build this shit that doesn't have any penalties and doesn't have any limits. Like, you would just build a fuckload of monuments. Like, that's what you would do. Your whole town would look like a graveyard or a Medusa's lair because there'd be statues everywhere. Yeah. Let's see. And the training yard thing doesn't cost anything to maintain a training yard? Okay. You don't have to have a barracks to have a training yard. You don't have to have a garrison to have a training yard. There's no back and forth here. The only thing that has mentioned anything else so far is marketplace is better if you have farmland. That's it. So, could use some tweaking. Could use a little tweaking. Let's see. Granary. Again, why would you have a granary but no farmland? Right? I guess if you're trading for grain, you could still use a granary, but feels weird, right? This is another thing that gives you prosperity with no limit and no cost. And it's the same exact cost as a monument. Stables. 3 EP provides prosperity and military, but it takes away from economy. That makes sense to me. Brothel. +2 to the economy. Truth. -1 to prosperity? Not sure why it would be like -1 to prosperity. I'm not really seeing that. I don't know. I mean, I guess I feel like a casino would probably be more of a negative to your prosperity. Maybe if prosperity is, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how a brothel could be bad. I guess is the thing. Like, historically, brothels have always been pretty good, right? I mean, it's only like an Anglo-Christian attitude that has villainized sex workers, right? Oh, but does it lead to crime if it's run by the government, though? I've been to Amsterdam, and we won't go into details, but I've been to Amsterdam, and they've got, like, legalized brothels, and they're doing great. So, like, where's the crime at? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, maybe +1 economy, +1 prosperity, -1 to military. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. I'm kind of digging that. Yeah, I could see it being distracting to the military. Some would argue that it would actually help the military's morale, but I don't know. Park. Provides +1 to prosperity and costs 2 EP, so it's just like a granary and just like a monument. And again, keeping it simple, we just have the same shit regurgitated over and over again with no cross bonuses, no class bonuses, no nothing. So it would be nice to maybe flesh this stuff out a little bit more. Because while I appreciate how simple it is, it's so simple that it's almost pointless. Is sort of how I feel about some of this stuff. I don't want to get into like SimCity or Civilizations level where it's like park helps with pollution and morale, but can also lead to increased crime. So you need to put a police station within such and such number of spaces of a park, and like I don't want it to go that far. Yeah. Let's see. Watchtower costs 5 EP. Adds to the military, takes away from the economy. It's interesting to me that a watchtower, and we decided that the watchtower would be a series of watchtowers. It's crazy to me that the watchtower costs more than the garrison and more than the barracks. Um, but it has no limit, and maybe that's why it's there. But why would I build? Just answer this question: why would I build any watchtowers if I could just build a shitload of training yards? Training yard is 2,000 gold less, has no negatives. So why the fuck would I ever build a watchtower when I could just build a bunch of training yards? You know what I mean? Like, again, awesome rule set, awesome document, simple, I love it, but in practice, right? Like, some of this stuff doesn't really make sense. Yeah. So we have to kind of address these things in a more practical way, right? Because right now it's like I'm looking at a sheet of stickers for my sticker album. You know what I'm saying? And like a lot of these are just the same sticker, but they're like a different color. Yeah. All right. So then we've got Town Hall, 8,000 gold or 8 EP. Provides a +2 to prosperity. Town Hall allows the council to work directly with the members of the town to hear complaints and pass sentences. Fair enough. Now, again, we only have 3 stats to work with because influence has to be modified by these other things. And as soon as you start allowing buildings to affect influence, that is very much a special situation. That's outside the normal math that's being generated here. So if we can only affect 3 things, up or down, it's very hard to make each one feel special, right? While still being simple. I understand the struggle that's going on here design-wise, but I feel like we could do better. Alright, Graveyard. Provides +1 prosperity, a sacred place to bury and remember the dead. So again, we can come up with things. Why is a graveyard good? Graveyard provides advantage when defending against undead. Boom. Now it has an actual gameplay thing that makes it a bit more enticing to get. Because if I only get +1 prosperity for Graveyard, why don't I just build another monument? Do you see the issue here with this design? There's nothing gating the content. So everyone's just going to gravitate towards what's mathematically the best thing. That's how games work. You want to win the game, so you use your resources in the best possible way. Yeah. And then you end up with a town, again, that's just a bunch of statues and training grounds. Yeah. Library provides +1 to prosperity and actually does something. Unlocks the ability to create a magic shop and an academy. Allows players to collect and maintain information. And then we got the academy itself. Creates education and promotes learning. With a magic shop, provides the ability to construct a mage tower. What I'm seeing here is that at no point do they think to tie the buildings to the council. Why not give the council members bonuses based on certain buildings? Right? Like, that'd be kind of cool. So certain buildings will actually make the council member in that position have bonuses to their stats or bonuses to their checks. So those are things that we could start introducing as well. All right, advanced structures. We got the theater. Costs 10,000 gold to build one. We got a number of great maps, so it'd be nice if somebody built one, so we could use some of those beautiful maps. Adds to your prosperity, but takes away from your economy, because I guess you're funding the arts, which is fine. Then we've got the arena, which adds to your economy, but takes away from your prosperity. So if sex workers also take away from prosperity, and an arena takes away from prosperity, I'm gonna say that the author considers prosperity to also, to a certain extent, have to do with the moral high ground and antiquated good alignment system, right? Um, so without adding like a crime stat, right? Like a crime stat, I guess lower prosperity equates to lower moral compass as well, because I mean, an arena is a pretty fucked up thing, regardless of what your culture is. Yeah, health and happiness. Hmm. Yeah. I guess if people are desperate for quick money and they keep signing up for the arena and they keep getting eaten by monsters, that would definitely hurt your prosperity. So I could kind of get behind that argument. And I guess the same thing, if you got sex workers, it's gonna, I don't know, break down traditional Valorian family values and blah, 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 blah. I guess. All right. Let's see. The arena brings many spectators who gamble with a house cut. All right. And then you got Magic Shop, which will also boost the economy and cost way less than an arena. Doesn't affect your prosperity and allows you to combo with the academy to construct a mage tower. Well, shit, I wonder which one we're going to build first. And then we've got the bank. Provides +2 to the economy. A bank provides a safe place to store arms, armor, magic items, and gold for a price. The DM can choose to charge the players directly, depending on what goods are stored. Unlocks the ability to construct a vault. I love the idea of a bank, because all the adventurers are basically carrying their money around in their prison pouch right now. And in every game I played in, having a bank makes you feel a lot safer about your money. Banks were a big deal in 1st and 2nd edition D&D. And I think they kind of fell out of favor in 3rd edition when they tried to simplify the game and they were like, nobody cares how much coins weigh, here's a bag of holding kind of deal. Let's see. A vault allows the party to store goods, money, arms, armor, and magical goods so they won't be taking on an adventure for no cost to party members. It also makes it much harder for these valuables to be stolen. A mage tower provides a +1 to prosperity, economy, and military. Creates education for those gifted with the talent of arcane arts. Obviously, we say they have a mage tower already, but they don't. So that is going to be a big goal of the council members, because the Mages Guild is sort of funding this town operation. This unlocks the headmaster, and they are excellent dealing with arcane mysteries and curses. They use their intelligence and adds assists to stewards in some events. This also allows the party to recruit battle mages for the military and unlock teleportation circles, which, by the way, cost 100,000 gold to build, but let's see how they bullshit that. Hall of Teleportation costs 14 EP and provides +3 to your economy and a permanent teleportation stone, which I just told you raw cost 100,000 gold to build. That allows players and travelers to come and go. The players can set up teleportation circles to other towns, cities, and kingdoms, as long as those places have a permanent teleportation stone as well. It costs an additional 7 EP for a new... Alright, we're going to pause it right there. Alright, so... Oh my god. Alright, so teleportation... circle. Here's the spell. It's a decrepit mage tower. It needs to... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the ruins of a mage tower. It's not an actual mage tower. Alright, so you can create a permanent teleportation circle by casting the spell in the same location every day for 1 year. And every day that you cast it, it costs 50 gold. So maybe my math is off here. Let's see. 365 times 50 is actually only 18,000 gold. So I guess it's not too bad. Why did I think it was 100,000? Alright. So this is costing 14 of the 18. I think we should probably raise it to be 18. To keep it in line with the actual spell. And that's only if they unlock such abilities and all that jazz. But yeah. Alright, cool. So let's see. Guild Hall. Let's see. 20? Yeah, 20 is probably good. Because you got to actually build the building itself to house it. You know what I'm saying? And then it's 18 just to build that. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Guildhall provides +1 to economy and to military. Guildhall can serve multitude of functions, from hiring adventurers to keeping the lands free of monsters, protecting the city in the events and attacks, providing work and pay for those seeking adventure. I don't want to scare anybody, but this is kind of what I want houses to be, is guild halls. So we're asking players to fork up 14,000 gold, essentially, to build a house. Now, obviously, that's crazy because that's going to take some people their entire adventuring career with the way our economy's set up. But I don't think it's completely unreasonable. Now, I would say that you can upgrade to a guild hall over time. So you start with a house, and then you build it into a mansion, and then you build it into a guild hall. I could definitely see that Pokemon route of progression. You know what I'm saying? So it would be like house, mansion, guild hall. And you're basically just like using your house as like a base of operations. Like, everybody meet at my house so we could talk about adventure shit. And then you get a mansion and you're like, everybody live at my commune with me. And then finally you're like, just kidding, it's a real guild hall now. It doesn't have to be a creepy commune anymore. And once it's at a guild hall, it generates these benefits. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like it to also provide EP for PC owner. So basically, the guild hall not only helps the local economy, but it also helps itself. So if you build a guild hall, you will start generating EP off of your guild hall, because the implication is that you've got NPCs that are doing stuff, so you're helping the town's economy, but you're also helping your personal economy. The guild leader is a special position that can be unlocked from this. Let's see. They apply their understanding of specific monsters and allows the players to select contracts and gain information on beasts and monsters. They have access to private information regarding magical items and powerful enemies. So there's a benefit there as well, is that if you are the one who started the guild or built the guild hall or whatever, now you actually unlock some abilities that goes with it, which is pretty cool. And then Cathedral, +2 to Prosperity, +1 to Military. Fantastic. A church can be upgraded to a cathedral, a holy place of worship, blessed by a higher power. Unlocks the High Priest. The High Priest allows the party to recruit healing priests and divine paladins for their military. That's a big fuck yeah. The High Priest plays a heavy role in assisting the diplomat. Alright. So now we go on to specialty structures. Specialty structures depend on the area that the players have settled in. For instance, if the foundation of the kingdom is in a forest, like ours, they would have access to a lumber mill near a mountain, or precious ores, a mine, on a river, or next to the sea, a dock, and a harbor. Okay, so obviously our settlement already has a lumber mill. It is on the map. It has been discussed. And lumber mills are going to be the most common thing that they can construct. They have yet to really discover any good locations for ore or a mine. Now, these specialty structures is where this hex document is really going to come into play and get modified a little bit. There is also the whole dock situation. They're landlocked. The only river they found was pretty dried up, or underground, or led underground. So none of that's really helping them as far as a dock. So a dock is a long way off. Each of these locations creates money and helps the military. So they are very, very good purchases to make. And then finally, there's this special one here, Arcane Wellspring. Well, the whole motivation of this campaign, this season, this West Marches, is to fix magic. So depending on your world, there may be arcane anomalies. There are, trust me, I know firsthand. That may spring up near your kingdom. Practitioners of magic and arcane arts would be very interested in studying these wellsprings and could provide fruitful benefits like enchanting items, or producing bountiful resources. Well, in our crafting system, we use source, or essence, as it were, which is residuum, right, from 4th edition. This would be a place that maybe could create that shit. So, very, very cool. So how does this interplay with what we already have? All right, when a DM is given hexes, they go and procedurally generate what exists on any given hex. Now, we had a very complicated system here to figure out what existed on hexes. I even made like a roll table for this shit, all that jazz. When you have a hex, you check what kind of hex it is. Most of the hexes in the region are ancient forest. So you roll a d20, and on a 1 to 10, you get basic shit for your challenge rating. On an 11 to 17, it's actually higher than it's supposed to be. And then if you get 18 to 19, it's very dangerous, but also rich. And then if you get a 20, it is rich and not dangerous, and it's actually pretty easy. So that's cool. That's the best result you could get. So if we scroll down here to resources on a hex, dangerous areas roll twice and take the best result. Rich areas roll twice and take both. Rich and dangerous areas roll twice, take the best, repeat, and add both. So they roll 2 times and they take the best of each roll each time. Any hex with a river also supplies fiber and stone. We don't need all that shit anymore. So what we could do is take all this whole section really, and we could just redo it. So what I'll do is I'll take all this and select it. There we go. And paste this shit down. Okay. And then this older one, I don't want to delete it yet. I'm just going to select it all. And we will, let's see. We will highlight it all. There we go. So that we know not to use it. Alright, so I still like this. Dangerous areas, blah, 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 blah. Any hex with a river, we can just say can be harvested for 1 additional EP. Because rivers are really good. Okay, I like that. So instead of needing all this wood and stone and all this kind of shit, we could just break this system down real easy and just put 1 EP, 2 EP, 3 EP, and then 4 EP, right? So we could do something like that if we wanted to break it down, make it super duper simple. Now, you'll also notice here that they mention Fey Flora, they mention mines, they mention ruins. So that's where these special structures come in to play. So we want to make sure that we determine if the hex is suitable for a mine, lumber mill, dock, and / or arcane wellspring. All right. So, we need to make sure that we're working that into what we're doing. So, obviously, in a normal forest, lumber mill would be kind of a no-brainer. Plus 1 EP. And then we could copy that over to here. And then we could copy that over to here. And we could say for this that this 3d4 stone would be enough to... see how it says mine? Yeah, there we go. So we'll just say that it could have a lumber mill. It could have a mine. And it would also provide additional... we'll say 3, because it's the 3rd category over. And that's kind of what I'm thinking there, right? It's kind of what I'm thinking there, is we could just do that over and over and over again. Now, what a wondrous locale is? A wondrous locale. I think we talk about what a wondrous locale is. Yeah. It represents a dungeon, an altar, or ruins. So. Let's see. It would be a mill and a mine. There we go. Plus mine. Plus that. Yeah, I could see it being one or the other, because it's only a 20 miles across, I guess. So, we could do, or we could do and, depending on the area as well. So that's something to consider also. And then we've got to figure out, you know, which ones will have docks, which ones can have arcane well springs. And GMs can, of course, make their own call on each hex if they want. But this is sort of the guideline if you're trying to RNGesus your hexes. So we need to flesh these out to take into account these new areas, essentially. But I like how well this already works with what we have here. See how easily we're able to just go in and replace what we had here with this? That was one of the things I was most excited about when I saw these rules. Alright, and the last thing to talk about, I think it's the last thing to talk about, is kingdom events and effects. This is something that we used to do in Season 1 Paradise Vale, is, shit, I think it was like every week or every 2 weeks, depending on how busy the DMs were, we would just make up like a random thing that happened. So there's a plague, there's been a murder, and you have to solve it. And if you don't solve it, then people lose faith in like society because anybody could just get away with murder. And yeah, I mean, there's a riot, there's a civil war between two guilds, and on and on and on and on. We just throw these curveballs at the players, and we had a big enough community that people would get really excited about it, and they would go bananas. Like, I think we were using Reddit at the time, and then eventually we switched over to Discord when Discord became a thing. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So I was excited to see this because it was something that I had wanted to bring back from Season 1, and I just was too tired to do it. But this system is actually pretty cool because they even provide a table with some ideas and examples, and also what that means for the settlement, which is pretty cool. And almost all of them are positive. There's a couple of things that are bad, like natural disaster strikes, contaminated produce. But look, you get a Nat Hundy, and everything gets a +4 bonus from a divine boon. Which we did actually have in Season 1. We had an actual living goddess come by and bless the settlement, which was kind of awesome. And there was a whole roleplay event for that. So, yeah, very, very excited about that. And it also helps steer the theme of the games for that month as well. So if a migration of monsters comes up from the south and starts becoming an invasive species for the region, obviously that's going to shift the focus of what is important to the NPCs and what is important to the PCs as well. So this is a great way to spice things up, these kingdom events and effects. Very excited about that. Very, very excited. All right, and honestly, that's it. That's the rules. They just give you some sample council members and a character sheet, and that's it. That's the whole system. So I love it. I love it a lot. But there are things that I think need to be improved. Most especially is the way all the buildings interact with each other, and how some of them have costs that don't make any sense. That's the stuff that is definitely going to need to be addressed. Now, how does all this work with the houses that we already talked about? So I've got a document here called PV Houses. Okay, so we've got terms and conditions. You may have one active character per active DM. Each active character must belong to a different house because we just can't have... yeah. Anyways, Each player can only found one house, and being a co-founder does not count against this total. Any DM who goes 30 IRL days without running a game is considered inactive. So, for example, Josh Butler ran a delve. I got positive feedback on his delve. He was given some hexes, and then he went AWOL, so he is not considered an active GM. Will, Dom, and myself have all run games within the last 30 days, so we are considered active. So there are 3 active GMs. You could have 3 active characters. Yeah. Also, let's see. Players cannot choose to make a character inactive. That character must be timed out by not adventuring for 30 days. So that's important. You might have 3 characters and you decide, I don't like my woke ape wizard. I don't know why I made a woke ape wizard. I don't know why you didn't, because that sounds dope as hell. But hey, you can't just like get rid of them. You have to let them be phased out. So after 30 days of not being used, you can then say, I don't want to play this guy anymore. Comes an NPC, or he just he gets retired, and now you can make a new character to replace him. The reason that we have a cooldown essentially on characters is, 1, if you hate your character, it'll be really exciting for you to go get them killed in the wilderness, and it'll help our death count out. 2, we had too many people that would make a character, literally strip the character down of all their equipment, give it to someone else, and then cancel the character, and then make a new character. Basically, I am telling you, anything to like get an edge. We had people trying to do it in season 1. So that is why there is a cooldown on character creation. Alright, so once we define active and all that jazz, we've got founding a house. To found a house, you will need 1 founder, 2 co-founders, and a house charter. All you need is a tent or a wagon. You don't even need a fucking house. You just need a tent or a wagon. You do need to design your own heraldry, and you do need to prove your qualifications by completing a quest given by the guild office. Alright. So we have had somebody who has proposed a charter, which means that they must then be given a quest by the guild office to prove their qualifications. The guild office is obviously, run by the steward, now that we're integrating this new stuff. Oh, wow. Again, the letters are all there. They're just not in the right order. There we go. Now, this is the steward's opportunity to either get rid of some upcoming competition by sending them on a suicide mission, or get some work done that they really needed to get done that nobody else had the courage to do. So, generally, if you go to found a house, you're going to be given the hardest quest that is currently available to prove your merit. Yeah. But in order to found a house, you only need 3 members, and you only need a tent or a wagon. But this is going to be the hardest one here, is proving your qualifications by completing a quest given by the guild office, which is run by the steward. Once you have a house, you have to pay 1 GP per total active character every 30 days. That's basically nothing. That's basically no money at all. A house that cannot pay its dues is disbanded. A house is responsible for feeding, housing, clothing, and equipping its members. Houses should be prepared to pay wages to both PCs and NPCs who support them. What are the benefits? And what I mean by this is, if you have house specialists, you need to be able to afford to pay them. Unskilled laborers get 5 silver a day. Skilled laborers get 1 gold a day. You can't have people working for your house that you can't afford to pay. The only cost of active characters, though, is going to be the 1 GP per month per character, but also you need to take care of their feeding, housing, and all that jazz, which is going to segue us into the next part of this discussion, which is, what the fuck are we doing about downtime, cost of downtime, and bookkeeping downtime, and all that jazz. And that's something that we discussed on Sunday that I'm pretty confident we can knock that stuff out. Nothing else here on houses really matters for this system, I don't think. We got Renown. You can spend renown. You can only gain renown once you are in a house. So houses really are like the first big step of gameplay. Like once you get a house going, you're really in it finally, right? You've got your starting Pokemon and you make it. This is like beating the first gym in a Pokemon game, is when you finally have a house going. The only required position within a house is the head of house. Ultimately, the head of house must settle any inter-house conflicts or disputes. A good charter can make this job easier. Blah blah blah. Spend renown. Blah blah blah. You get bonus XP for being in a house and adventuring with other house members. That's kind of a big deal because we do use an XP-based system. Members of the same house may share magical items between house members. This is huge. Normally, magical items cannot be sold or given to anyone outside of a house if you are currently a member of. And also, we pay pennies for magical items in this game, so being able to trade them with fellow house members is going to be huge. And if you die, you can leave your current wealth and equipment to your next character, only if that character will be a member of the same house. So anyways, none of this lower stuff on the list has anything to do with upkeep and downtime. So that's the next thing we need to address. All right. Let's see. Downtime. All right, so we got... We're gonna need the Giphy rules. Let me bust those out real quick. So Giphy, Darker Dungeons. Right. Let's see. Read it. Okay. All right. So rest and downtime. Let's jump into this shit. We don't really need to worry about taking a short rest. We're worried about long rest and long rest lifestyles. This is what we're concerned about. All right. So your lifestyle in the Darker Dungeon system actually matters a lot. It's not like a D&D vanilla thing where you just get to imagine what it's like to be rich. Like, rich people just have it better, period. Like, they literally get more maximum hit points than anyone else. And if you're playing with all these other mechanics, that comes into play as well. So lifestyle quality is a big deal. And the lifestyle quality cost is different than what is listed in normal vanilla D&D, and that has been tripping some people up a little bit. All right, so let's see. Make a new document. There we go. And we'll call it PV Downtime. All right. Wow, that's huge. Okay. There we go. And let's see. We're on D&D Beyond already. So we will go to our friend Xanathar. Here we go. And within Xanathar, we will go to probably the part of Xanathar's besides Hexblade that everybody goes to more than anywhere else. It's certainly not the trap section. Anyways, let's see. Downtime activities. There we go. Alright, so downtime activities take a work week, which is 5 days. This is important to note, because a lot of people worry that when they take a week of downtime, they're taking 7 days. But a downtime in D&D is considered 5 days, because unlike capitalist America, they understand that people need time to rest. Yep, that's how you know it's a fantasy game, folks. That's how you know it's a fantasy game. Alright, so there we go. Keep that in mind. 5 days should be fine. Let's see what else we got. And let's see. Resolving activities. Complications. Downtime activities. Buying items. Magical item prices. Blah, 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 blah. Carousing. Blah, 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 blah. Alright, let's keep going. Crafting items. Is covered by a crafting system. Right. Yeah. And let's see. Now, here's the thing. It's 5 days out of 7, right, on a normal week. But if you play Forgotten Realms, you got to figure out how you feel about that. Because a 5-day week in Forgotten Realms is half a week, because they have 10-day weeks. So I would definitely say that in Forgotten Realms, it would be 7. It'd be 7 out of 10 days instead of 5 out of 10 days. That's just me, though. Like, I can't imagine people in Forgotten Realms take 5 out of 10 days off every week. You know what I'm saying? Also, for anybody that's ever wondered if you can do crime, and I'm talking to my fellow rogue from Wednesday nights, yeah, you can do crime. You can do crime. It's right here. That's a downtime activity. They actually have a table for doing crime. Here, I'll just take this whole link, because everybody by now that plays in games with me should have access to all this shit anyways. Let's see. Here we go. Note crafting rules cover crafting during downtime period. Okay. Yeah, you make some good money doing crime. It's got much bigger penalties for screwing up, though. Also, gambling has its own downtime. You could spend a whole week gambling and make up to 1,000 gold. Yeah, it's crazy. These are things that are raw vanilla rules that nobody ever bothers to do. So, okay. You could gladiator fight and win, 200 gold. So all these people that are like, I work for a living, you have other things that you could be doing, I guess. I would say that pit fighting and gladiator fighting will definitely be capped by local prosperity levels. A lot of this shit will be capped by prosperity levels. Let's just mention that right now in our document. Be mindful, the max gold you can earn via crafting and downtime is limited by the settlement's prosperity and economy. All right. Let's see. Relaxation, religious service, research, blah, blah, blah. Research complications, scribe and scrolls, selling magic items, training. All right. Give enough free time and services and structure, you can learn a language with bigger proficiency. It's 25 gold a week. Blah, blah, blah. 10% chance. So these are the things that most people gravitate towards. Part of why people work, this is what I was after. Part of why people work is so that they can live. Is really what it comes down to. So it's not as lucrative as any of these other activities that you could be doing, but it's guaranteed success. You will at least make enough money to live. All right. So let's see. When all else fails, the adventurer can turn to honest trade to earn a living. Because this is so basic, bitch, and because this basically requires you to just, to live a modest lifestyle, we're going to set that as the default. All right. So if you have not declared a downtime activity, you automatically default to work for a living. This always results in a in a 10, and never has any complications, period. Alright, so what this means with a result of 10 is you're getting a modest lifestyle. A modest lifestyle is 8 gold a week. Alright, so this means you earned enough to maintain a modest lifestyle. If you want the benefits of a better lifestyle, you must cover the remaining cost out of pocket. If you want the penalties of a poorer lifestyle, you can pocket the difference. All right. If you are a member of a guild that covers expenses, living expenses, you may pocket the 8 GP for a modest week, or apply it towards a better lifestyle than your guild provides. Period. Okay. I think that kind of covers downtime, right? Like, we have a default action, so if you're not super duper into Paradise Vale, you just play once in a while, you're still covered. You know, how is my character surviving when I'm not here? Well, they live their fucking life. That's how. Like that. Yeah, it's only when you take over their body and force them to go out adventuring that their life gets interesting. The rest of the time, they're helping out the settlement and doing normal stuff. So I like this a lot. Now, here's the thing. To cover the benefits of wealthy versus wretched versus all that, versus squalid, the longer it's been since you've played, if you want to gain that benefit for that lifestyle, it has to have been maintained since the last time you adventured. So let's add that in there. To gain the benefits of a lifestyle better than modest, you must cover the costs of that lifestyle to cover all the time that has passed since you last went adventuring. None of this like, oh, I lived in the gutter for like 6 weeks, and then in week 7, I spent all my money to stay in a fancy hotel so that I could get 10% extra health. Now, also keep in mind that modest is not as good as comfortable. You do start with less hit dice. Now, a level 1 character don't give a shit, but a higher level character, that's going to start to hurt these higher level characters quite a bit. We always round down as well, so I guess that would mean if you have a modest lifestyle, you don't get any hit dice? Oof, that's rough. If you live a modest lifestyle, we may have to just say that you always have a minimum of 1 hit die. Yeah. Characters who have rested will always have a minimum of 1 hit die. Period. Alright. So it's a little bit more punishing for higher level characters. We can let that lower level character at least have something. Yeah. I understand why it's there, but I want it to be more punishing for the richer, higher level adventurers who can afford it. So, yeah, okay. That seems pretty good. Let's go to the Giphy system. And what are long rest activities that he recommends? I think all of these come from the thing. Choose one or discuss them with your DM. So work for coin, work for renown, spread rumors, find a merchant. It looks like he left criminal activity, but he took out gambling. Probably because you can make a shitload of money and he's trying to keep the money locked down. And it looks like he took out gladiator fighting. I feel like those are cool, though. That probably explains why no one's tried to do it in any of our Giphy games, though. Because they're not listed on this list. So... specific rules and advice for some primary activities are covered in the Dungeon Master's Guide and Xanthar's Guide. Alright, so let's do this. Go. And then... yeah, I understand why he would leave them out, design-wise, right? Because they're very, very lucrative if you get lucky. And I guess the worst that can happen to you with gambling, for example, is you lose all... oh, shit. Lose all the money you bet and accrue debt equal to that amount. Ooh, I like that. Oh, man. That's spicy. And think about it for, like, Sunday game. Julian? If Julian knew he could do this, man, dude would be doing this all the time. He'd be doing it all the time. Alright, let's see. Are all these listed in one place? You're killing me. D&D Beyond. You're killing me. You don't have them all just listed in one place? Oh, wait. Yeah, you do. On your table of contents. Huzzah. Alright. So, let's see. The only ones we're missing here, I think, are Scribe and a Scroll. Because Scribing a Scroll is covered by Wizard class. I believe. Okay. Selling a magical item is covered under exotic item. Carouse and socialize is on there. Well, I mean, it's cool that wizards can do it, but like, how do you get healing scrolls and stuff? I feel like that's something that like clerics should be able to do, right? I don't remember that actually being covered by clerics though, in the class compendium. There we go. We'll put C also wizard class for the real info. Let's see. Selling a magical item is covered. Ooh, I hear you. I hear you. Let's see. Religious service. I don't see on Giphy's thing, so we'll add religious service back in. All right. Pit fighting. Get that shit back in there. Yeah. Gambling. Yeah. There we go. Let's see. Buying a magical item. I don't see buying a magical item on there. Mostly because the buying the magical item downtime activity is super duper broken. My DM for Dragon Heist and Mad Mage let us use that rule, and I just went and bought my Bard, just the 3 best fucking items in the game. And then I had the 3 best fucking items in the game. Now, don't get me wrong, I had a great time having the 3 best items in the game, but I also had the 3 best items in the game, so my motivation was kind of like, eh. Yeah. We should also mention, the effectiveness of downtime activities is tied to the stats of the settlement / sanctuary. Yeah, because sometimes you're staying at a sanctuary that just don't have that shit. I mean, that's just how it is. All right, relaxation isn't on there. Okay. I wonder why. Why isn't relaxation on there? Is that Is that too broken for the Giphy system? Let's see. Sometimes the best thing to do between adventures is to relax. Whether a character wants a hard-earned vacation or needs to recover from injuries, relaxation is the ideal option for adventurers who need a break. Takes 1 week. You need to at least have a modest lifestyle. You maintain at least a modest lifestyle while relaxing. While relaxing, you gain advantage on saving throws to recover from long-acting diseases and... Oh, okay, that's probably why he doesn't want it. In addition, at the end of the week, the character can end one effect that keeps the character from regaining hit points. Well, that's good news for a certain fish man. Or can restore one ability score that has been reduced to less than its normal value. This benefit cannot be used if the harmful effect was caused by a spell or some ongoing magical effect with... Okay. Relaxation rarely comes with complications, but if you want to make life complicated for the characters, introduce an action or an event connected to a rival. I don't see the harm. Is rest and relaxation a Giphy? Oh, yeah, you're right. It was there. Okay. Alright, cool. Let's see. And doing a crime is there. So, I think the only ones that were missing were gambling, pit fighting, and religious service. And then scribing a scroll. Everything else is the same. Alright, cool. Alright, I think we're good in that regard. Let's see. We got work. Alright. Most common downtime. So we'll put default / most common downtime activity. Work. Cool. Alright. Good. Alright, and the last thing that we need to discuss is the event that was rolled for. Was influx of people. So we wanted to apply a game benefit for that. So we did, we're going to do 150 XP bonus. I was thinking about that, and I felt like it was kind of a dick move for people that have been supporting the project since the very beginning. So I thought maybe any characters made during the month of August, that is to say August in Paradise Vale, not August in real life. I kind of wish that we had matched the dates up in real life to the dates up in the game, but once things really get underway, like the calendar gets all kinds of fucked up. So yeah. Anyways, any characters that existed before August and any new characters made in August get 150 XP to represent this new influx of people. So we're giving bonus XP to people that already have characters. Yeah. Oh, sweet. All right. So I'm done skis because I'm going to go eat dinner. But overall, I think that this adds a lot more to the game. I think it clarifies a lot of things that people might have been confused about. And I'll just have to remember to post it to the actual Discord so that people know what's going on. But thank you everybody for hanging out and helping me figure this stuff out. I'm really excited about Paradise Vale and the direction Paradise Vale is headed. I think that this is going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to really, really incentivize getting out there and exploring the world and staking claim to it and building it up. I'm very excited about it. So the next big project for the GMs is I'll make a collaborative document. I'll share it with the GMs, and we will try to take these things, the buildings and architecture, and we will try and get them all to sort of interplay with each other and have a little bit more going on than just I'm a green sticker and I'm a yellow sticker and I'm a red sticker. So we'll try to come up with some stuff that makes it a little bit deeper and a little bit more interesting without overcomplicating a very elegant system. So, all right, I'll be back in like 25 minutes to play some Rime of the Frost Maiden. 2 different people stream it, so I don't bother. One of them will be randomly picked by a robot, and I will host them. And I guess I'll see you then. Otherwise, I will see you next time.